Studio Series Wave 7 in under 60 minutes. Let's go. 2019, it's a sad year to see you go. You were the first year to give us Commander Class. You gave us 3 new Optimus Prime toys. So Wave 7. Yes, Wave 7 is the natural culmination of this Studio Series lineup for this year. And obviously, I'm going to talk about Wave 7. I am thinking of slowly changing the videos to parts instead of waves. So part 1, part 2, part 3, and look at it like that. I don't know how that's going to go yet. But that's the only thing that I really wanted to bring up. I might do like a little look back at everything we've had throughout the year towards the end of this video. But for now, let's just look at what this wave gave to us. First of all, with Studio Series 42 long haul in over 60 seconds. Let's go. God damn it. You're just killing me right out of the gate. Full context before we get into this. I'm biased towards this figure. I think mine has some dodgy QC and I really don't like it. With that in mind, let's start with talking about him in his little dump truck mode, because he's cute and he's fun, and he's not a functional dump truck, by the way. If you take a look in the back here with me, you'll see there is no room for any trucks to be dumped in this bed. Just a couple of fucking hands. It's one of them European trucks, extra handsy. Also, there's this weird thing where this strut at the side of it, all you gotta do is just tap it, and it just comes loose. Don't know why it comes loose. Have never been able to figure it out. Something's stopping it from resting flush. Beyond that, the rest of it's just sort of lackluster, half-ass stuff. You can see his head clear as day back here. There is no real attempt made to disguise it. It's long haul, he's a dump truck. He's the most authentic Constructicon we've had from the live action series so far. So I guess time to disrespect him a hell of a lot more. I hate this transformation. There's so many big parts that have no real clearance to move where they need to go, but they all just get in the fucking way. You know, like, this shouldn't be as complex as it feels, but it's purely more out of... It's hard to say if it's an issue with the design or if it's an issue with the quality, but like, compared to the two before and the Wavemate Constructicon, don't you worry, we'll get to him. I don't know, long haul just... He just feels like such an underwhelming figure in comparison. He's very much a turd in the punch bowl compared to the other Constructicons from this year, which is weird because this is a design that launched Josh Nizzi's career. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name. Sorry, Josh. I know you're watching this because obviously you would be. And I feel kind of bad for shit on it because it's definitely like one of those that felt like the perfect balance. Like, this feels like if it wasn't for all the detail, this could easily slot into the reboot live action Bayverse. It's not the Bayverse, but it's live action and it's a reboot. You know, he kind of has that look about him where he could slot in with the rest of them. But over-designed. There's a bit too much going on. There's a lot of stuff that just gets in the way. It's hard to strike a good pose with him. I will admit, having him in hand and looking at him, I like him more than I thought I did. But that doesn't mean much. When it comes to long haul, I wish there was more I could say that was positive. But to be fair, there isn't more I could say that's negative. Just a lot of the stuff I have to say about this is, if you like the design, I imagine you'll have a much more fun experience with this. I don't hate the design. It's not my favourite design. You know, I like the weird and wonderful out there ones of an angry pogo stick or Wally if he discovered crystal meth. Whereas this is just a guy, a big bulky boy. You know, this guy's going to come square up to me and tell me to get the f*** out of his swamp. To be fair with these guys, you can't really say, oh yeah, I recommend it or don't, because if you try to build Devastator, you don't have a f***ing choice, do you? SS43 is the KSI Boss. For all intents and purposes, I believe this is the same situation as Cogman from the last one, except instead of it being a premium new version, this is just a straight up repaint of Nitro Zeus into a different character, that character being one of the generic nobodies from the Age of Extinction finale in Hong Kong. I mean, I spoke about that mold for a Patreon review, and if I ever do a last night video, I'll speak about that mold. He's okay. I think he could do with a new iteration just to kind of, you know, give him a bit of pizzazz, new lease on life, but for the most part, be realistic, there's worse things to come out of that fucking movie than this. Studio Series 44 Optimus Prime in over 60 seconds. Let's go. We finally made it. We made it to the promised land, people. We finally have an Optimus Prime in one of these Studio Series videos. It only took, what, 7 waves? 5 videos? F it, it'll be alright. So, yes, this is the Dark of the Moon one. Probably the most accurate of this version of Optimus. This is the truck mode that has the orange paint. The ones before it were just blue and red. This one has the orange gradient, so it goes from orange to red as it travels up the nose of the truck into the cab. The main thing that's worth noting with this release compared to the others, this is the one with the trailer, and without getting too far ahead of myself, this is probably the best trailer we've ever gotten at Mainline for what it does, but I'll save that for when we get into the robot mode. As it stands as a trailer, I wish it had some more paint applications just because you've got an Autobot symbol there that you can barely see. You've got the outline of a stripe. I think if it was like a solid blue stripe and they left the Autobot symbol unpainted, even that would have been better. It is what it is. I don't really care. Talking about the truck on its own, the smokestacks are far too small. The kibble in the trailer bed is far too big because that's where all the legs go. And I guess all that's left is to mention that the grille, for whatever reason, either you peg it shut and it doesn't connect to the rest of the nose, or you connect it to the rest of the nose and it doesn't shut. Take your pick, whichever you should poison. I don't know what went wrong with it to cause this. I know people have mentioned it to me in passing, and I think it's been mentioned on the TF Wiki, but yeah, I can't explain what the issue is here. It just exists. Anyway, there's just so many fiddly moving parts that just get in the way of each other, especially around the torso, chest area. Because as soon as you've done that, the arms are fairly straightforward, the head's fairly straightforward, the legs are, easy as anything, so long as you've got the clearance. And what is the consequence? Well, you've then got Optimus Prime into his Dark of the Moon robot mode. When I say the Dark of the Moon robot mode, literally the only significant point is he's got the weird metal abs that he didn't have in the first two movies. And if you own Studio Series 35 Jetfire, which we have previously reviewed and you'll have seen in that video, the chest piece can be removed and replaced with a piece that came with Jetfire. Unfortunately, it's color matched to a previous release. This Optimus on his own, he looks the part, he feels the part. There's some inaccuracies to the design, primarily in the fact of the wheel arches end up under his arms in robot mode. Depending on how much you care, I can see that being a problem. Personally, I don't care. I'm not really bothered. But let's talk about the accessory that bumped this from a Voyager to a leader class. So, for everyone who's seen the movie, you know Optimus Prime has that little interesting scene where he fights off against Shockwave. Sorry, my air quotations are doing some fucking benching right now using that. His trailer comes off and transforms into this big weapon ring. I believe that's the only time we see the weapon ring in the movie. I could be wrong. It's not the only time we see the trailer, but it's the only time that it forms this arsenal where it opens out and he runs in, picks up weapons. It's a cool scene. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm shocked you're here, but you know, thanks for turning up. So the trailer itself, for the first time, opens up into this weapon ring, because there's been previous trailers in the past that have done stuff and things, but none have actually done this, where, as you can see, all throughout it are a couple of weapons, are all just laying throughout, ready for him to step in, pick up, and off out. I think it's important we probably take a look at these accessories one by one. Let's start with the gun. Apparently the gun is a repaint of the gun that came with the SS32. It's just this one doesn't have any smoke or any sort of battle damage on it, which is whatever. The gun looks good. I like it. It works as an oversized, kind of like a Magnum revolver. It's kind of got that feel to it. The axe. So this is the famous axe from the end of the movie where he just fucking murders Megatron and everyone accused him of being a war criminal. I know, right? Wow. It's the axe from Citizen Axe. Wait a minute, there was no axe in Citizen Axe. Unfortunately, this is the first casualty. This axe does not have any paint applications. There were various third parties that did releases of this kit, and they all had painted blades. If you're bothered, go get one. If you're not, cool. I'll see you in the no diving zone, I guess. Granted, I think I jumped the shark in that video. Then he comes with the sword. This is different to the swords of previous, because where the previous ones were sort of wrist mounted and came out, this one is handheld. He's got a handheld Energon sword, which actually does have a painted blade. And finally, accessory wise, he has his shield, which is very awkward because there is no real way for him to hold this that looks good without just completely undressing the arm and untransforming it. But you know, you can do a little bit of work. You can make this work. You can do some things with it. He's not a total lost cause, which is the main thing I want to just kind of put out there about this Optimus. He's a good guy, apart from when he's just totally straight up fucking murdering people. But, my dear viewer, this is not the main focal point of this Optimus Prime. While a trailer and some accessories are nice, we need to talk about Jetwing Optimus. So, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, again, I'm surprised you're here, but I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. This motherfucker can fly, and thankfully it doesn't take ripping apart an old man to do it. Instead, we take a big chunk of the trailer out, and it forms a jetpack with great wingspan, and also part of it is these two handheld, whatever the fuck they are, just two big fucking guns of some description. And I would probably say this is the selling point of this particular set. Just do Dark of the Moon Optimus, because that was Optimus at his peak, was the peak of the movies. I loved that movie, unfortunately, so I'm really biased. Perhaps I shouldn't be doing this review. Oh I just did, didn't I? Studio Series 45 Drift in over 60 seconds, let's go. So this is the helicopter drift. I don't know if this is supposed to be a specific helicopter. There was a couple of comments, people said it yes and no. I don't know. For what this helicopter is, I like it. I like the military black helicopter, the spooky, scary vibe of government, and that's not at all what this is going for. but it suits the tone. It looks good. I like some of the matte black along with some of the gloss black. The little dual guns at the front, the missile launchers. It's a helicopter. Would you really want me to say it? Is it as impressive as Blackout? Probably not. Is it more fun than Blackout? Probably. Is it the Studio Series equivalent of Spinister? Absolutely not. Am I derailing this conversation? You fucking bet. F you guys. Now we got them in robot mode. So, yeah. This is probably the strongest robot mode Drift has ever had. Unless, of course, you count the SS46. I'm going to stop talking about that one, don't you worry. This is probably the strongest robot mode for Drift in that it's sleek and it's posable and there's not a massive amount of kibble. The kibble is there, but the kibble is so manageable compared to some of the other ones we've had before. The articulation isn't the best in the world just due to the shoulders and the transformation. No wrists, which is unfortunate. He's got everything you'd kind of expect him to. He's still better than Dropkick and he's still better than the other Drifts that we've had today. In terms of the accessories, he's actually got two swords which are formed from the blades of the helicopter. He's got these missile pods that go on the... Are they wings? The bits that come out the side of a helicopter and they go on his legs. He's got what looks like the two swords on his back. The tail rotor becomes a shield of some description and yeah. Apparently he fetched a pretty penny on eBay, so if you're willing to take that plunge, I'd say go for it. I know there's rumours about an SS Last Night Drift due to come. If you want something a bit different and something a bit bluer, he holds up. He does the job nicely. Studio Series 46 Dropkick in over 60 seconds, let's go. This was probably peak Bumblebee movie Decepticon until Megatron came along, for various reasons. First of all, talking about the car mode, this car mode is just slick. It improves everything that the Shatter one had issues with, and on top of that, it's just solid and good, and I like it. And there's supposed to be some degree of weapon storage in this mode, but no, he's got all the detailing you'd expect. The number decal, the little skull and crossbones symbol, the engine block, everything's just good about this car. The blue and the black are very rich and work very well together, and they look good. He feels nice, and I know there's people who have said there is structural issues due to the clear plastic roof. I think that's more a thing in robot mode, but I think it's worth mentioning here. Talking about this car, I'm quite content with it. Also, the head's right there, and you didn't even notice, did you? Huh? Just link to this timestamp in the video if you didn't even notice, because I bet you didn't, and if you didn't, you have to like and comment and share and subscribe. Alrighty, Dropkick into robot mode. Ooh, well, like I say, he's probably one of the best Decepticons from the Bumblebee movie. I will explain myself when the time comes. Do not at me. Thank you. Or you can at me if you want, and I'll just ignore it. I don't really care. So why am I saying such high praise about Dropkick? Transformation itself is fairly straightforward. It's like Shatters, but just not as clunky, more streamlined, a bit more going on, a bit more got its shit together, you know? Taking a look at the rest of the figure, the articulation is good. I think the worst thing about this is he doesn't have any wrist swivels. The head is beautiful on this guy. He perfectly replicates the movie. His weapon accessory, which goes over the hand, is really nice. I think at worst it could have probably used either some more sculpted detail or another paint app. Probably the paint app. I think that's a lot of sculpted detail we're currently looking at. He's just a nice figure. I like a lot of what he does. My biggest issues, yeah, there's a couple of issues in regards to getting everything tabbed together in the chest, but as soon as you do, he's fine. The weapon, I think I would have maybe liked it if he came with two weapons, but that's just me being greedy at this point. I can cope with the one, because I think he only ever used one at a time in the film. Yeah, very redeemable. Compared to the other stuff at the time, you know, Car Shatter, Volkswagen B. He definitely wore it well, and I'm quite happy to have him. And I feel sorry for the people who say that there's broke, because he's good. He's good shit. We need more like him. But I have saved the best for last. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and everyone else, whatever you were going to say was the best Studio Series figure, you can sit down, shut up. This is the best Studio Series figure to date. Studio Series 47 Hightower in over 60 seconds. Let's go. We did it. We achieved peak. I'm not going to dwell on this crane mode too long, but for all intents and purposes, it does what you expect it to. Has crane arm, has crane hook, has treads, has all that shit. Cool, whatever. Let's get straight past that, talking about the good shit. A transformation which is literally just the same transformation that Wall-E used in that movie. And there you go. You've got this horrible, nasty, lovely little bastard. This absolute gutter demon of vengeance and unholiness. Look at the state of this thing. How can you not look at this and think, yeah, that's peak? You gotta think that's peak. If you don't think this is peak, I don't want to know you. You're not welcome here anymore. I'm sorry. I mean that with no disrespect or malice. I just mean that from the heart. I mean that with objectivity. This is the greatest thing Joe Hasbro has ever put his name to. Memes aside, it's a dumb piece of shit. that doesn't really do much. You know, you can pose the treads and that's about it. You know, that's literally all you can do. He's got an adjustable neck and you can tilt his head like a dog. Like when you say a word a dog recognizes, you know, you sat there, you say to Hightower, do you want to go walkies? Do you want to form Devastator? And he tilts his head looking at you. He's basically the Constructicon's dog. I said this in the short all them many moons ago, and I'm saying it again. He's the Constructicon's dog. He's got these dinky little T-Rex arms. Train arm has become a scorpion tail. He's peak. I personally like to have the treads flat. What's not to love about this? Yeah, like I said, it's a dumb as shit design. The only way that this could have been better is if they kind of adapted one of the other Hightower designs instead of this one. What do I say? You can see him in front of you on screen. Is he worth the money that they used to make him? Probably not. Is he worth the money that they sold him for? Probably not. Is he worth whatever he goes for now? I don't know, let me check. Ain't no way when I'm trying to look this up, the first thing that comes up is Studio Series Hightower instructions. Jesus Christ. No, he's not worth the money he goes for. This was a moment in time to get this guy, and I'm so glad I got him. He's so good. He's so absolutely batshit stupid, and it just makes him so much better for it. This is the best Constructicon of 2019. Now, I think I could probably make the case of this is my favourite figure of 2019, just because it dared to do what it's doing right now, unashamedly so. Joe Hasbro looked at this and said, we can't keep this from the public. He wasn't thinking, oh shit, we need to put that on the shelves. He was thinking, oh fuck, we need to put that on the shelf. This is peak. I love this. This is what it's all about, and I'm glad that it's here. I'm here for it. F it. Hightower inspired me to do the channel. Hightowers inspired me to bring back the lore. Hightower is love. Hightower is life. Thank you. Amen. You know, I originally planned for this thumbnail to say, Goated Part 1. Maybe it still will. Maybe you're actually watching from the future where I've uploaded this, and you're thinking, wow, what a great looking video, I need to watch that. But all in all, looking back at 2019 as a whole, this wave was solid. The year got better as it went on, and I think this wave is where the natural peak of Studio Series hits. Every figure in this wave is a winner on some level. I'm very much looking forward to reviewing the next wave that followed this and why that wave is fucking excellent as well. And I think that's probably everything I wanted to say about Studio Series in 2019. Am I being unabashedly positive? Yes. Do I think it deserves it? I could see why you would say no. I think, genuinely speaking, a lot of this stuff, particularly the Dark of the Moon stuff, has been fantastic on every level. Also, it's very nice to see the beginnings of Devastator. 2 out of 4 are weird. 3 out of 4 are structurally sound, but I don't hate any one particular. I'm glad that they started going this route with Devastator. Granted, we're a bit behind on the 10th anniversary of Revenge of the Fallen, but it's alright because the 15th anniversary is this year. Fucking hell. Yeah, I stand by what I said. I have loved this year, and I was really excited to get to reviewing these ones, especially in this wave. Current plan is I'm going to be reviewing Wave 8, and whether or not I'll refer to that as Part 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Whether or not that's the case by the time I get to it, I don't know. The plan for that is do the 2020 waves in the second half of this year. We'll see how that goes. You never know. Maybe I'll throw another wobbly in the middle of the year. Or maybe I'll have my shit together this time. But thank you to everyone who's watched this one and the previous ones. This has been fun. This has been a fun little look back at a year of peak where very little of this year was genuinely terrible and absolutely despicable. And I look forward to covering the following year with yourselves later on this year. That confused me more the further I got into the sentence, and I'm sorry. Go out, buy yourselves a Hightower, make that part of your daily routine is looking at Hightower and appreciating him for everything. And have a good one. Goodbye.